How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of Tear Talk. Guys, today I'm going to read from you an excerpt from my book, Breaking Boundaries. This one. This right now is available as an ebook on Amazon.com, but will eventually be turned into a soft cover book. But right now you can get it for $9.99 immediately on Amazon. And it's a book related to undue familiarity. I'm going to focus today on chapter 4, which is about causes and triggers. What causes us to develop undue relationships with inmates? And guys, this book will partner very well with Inmate Manipulation Decoded. That's how it's designed. So this breaks into the undue familiarity process. This is more about the games that they play, but this right here is centered on why we may develop undue familiarity with inmates. Guys, if you're a trainer, or you're in a position to train, you could take this book as well as this ebook and develop it into a training curriculum on manipulation. I think it's all encompassing. But at this point, I'm just going to read from chapter 4, Causes and Triggers. And I want you to know that this book, Breaking Boundaries, does cover a lot. Just to give you some of the chapters, we define what undue familiarity is. We talk about the risk and consequences. We talk about, what the causes and triggers are. And we also talk about how you can prevent it. But guys, it's very detailed. It's not your normal 101. That's why I write these books. I write these books to provide a little bit more insight, especially from my own experiences. So real quick, we're going to go ahead and start off with discussing different causes and triggers that can lead to undue familiarity. So again, this is coming from chapter 4 of the book. So if you already have the ebook, I'm reading from chapter 4. The first thing we discuss here is going to be personal vulnerabilities. So understanding what leads to undue familiarity is crucial for preventing it. Several factors contribute to the development of inappropriate relationships between staff and inmates, ranging from personal vulnerabilities and environmental influences to institutional policies that may inadvertently encourage such behaviors. This chapter explores these causes and triggers, providing insight into how and why boundaries are crossed. By recognizing these factors, staff and administrators can take proactive steps to mitigate risk and maintain professional integrity. So first one's personal vulnerabilities, as listed right there. Personal vulnerabilities play a significant role in the development of undue familiarity. Staff members may have personal issues or characteristics that make them more susceptible to forming inappropriate relationships with inmates. These vulnerabilities can stem from various sources, each contributing to a staff member's risk of crossing professional boundaries. So first, we have emotional needs. Staff members who experience loneliness, low self-esteem, or emotional distress may seek validation and support from inmates. Inmates who are often skilled manipulators can exploit these emotions or these emotional needs to form personal connections. For example, if you're feeling isolated or undervalued at home or work, the attention and praise from an inmate can feel gratifying, filling an emotional void. This sense of validation can be incredibly alluring, especially when it contrasts sharply with the negativity or indifference experienced in other areas of your life. Imagine coming to work feeling unappreciated by your family or peers. An inmate who consistently shows interest in your well-being, compliments your appearance, or acknowledges your hard work can provide a much-needed boost to your self-esteem. Over time, these interactions can become a substitute for the support you are lacking elsewhere, making you more dependent on the inmate's approval and companionship. This dependency can blur the lines between professional duty and personal connection, leading to undue familiarity. I also have past experiences. So let's get past experience is also part of personal vulnerabilities. So previous life experiences such as past trauma or a history of difficult relationships can influence how staff members interact with inmates. Those who have experienced betrayal or abuse may have weakened boundaries and be more vulnerable to forming inappropriate attachments. Imagine if you had trust issues in the past. An inmate's seemingly genuine interest and concern might make you more inclined to confide in them, leading to a bond that crosses professional lines. For instance, if you have a history of abusive relationships, you might be more likely to misinterpret an inmate's manipulative behavior as genuine kindness. This misinterpretation can result from a deep-seated desire to find someone who appears to understand and care for you. The inmate, sensing this vulnerability, may use it to their advantage, gradually building a relationship that compromises your professional judgment and responsibility. And then we also have, this is really on the agency, lack of training. Insufficient training on maintaining professional boundaries can leave staff members ill-prepared to handle the complex dynamics of inmate interactions. That's why I have these books. Without proper guidance, they may inadvertently cross lines that should remain intact. For instance, without clear training, you might not recognize the subtle ways inmates can manipulate conversations to gather personal information or create a sense of obligation. And I do have a lot of this covered in the book. Effective training on maintaining professional boundaries is essential for all correctional staff. This training should not only cover the basics of appropriate behavior, but also delve into the psychological tactics inmates use to manipulate staff. Role-playing exercises can be particularly effective in preparing staff for real-world interactions. These exercises can simulate scenarios where inmates attempt to gather personal information or create a sense of obligation. By practice responses in a controlled environment, staff can develop the confidence and skills needed to handle these situations effectively. And additionally, training should emphasize the importance of keeping personal information private. Staff should understand that even seemingly innocuous details can be used against them. For example, sharing information about a favorite hobby or a personal challenge can give inmates a way to build rapport and establish a foothold in the staff member's personal life. So let's do an example. Officer Rodriguez, going through a tough divorce, finds solace in conversations with an inmate who seems understanding and empathetic. Over time, these interactions become more personal, and Rodriguez begins to rely on the inmate for emotional support, compromising professional boundaries. So these are just, I got 2 questions for you to ponder. Are there personal issues or emotional needs that might make you more vulnerable to forming inappropriate relationships with inmates? And how can you seek support outside of work to address these vulnerabilities and maintain professional boundaries? Now we're going to go to environmental factors. Just get rid of that. The correctional environment itself can contribute to the development of undue familiarity. The daily interactions in close quarters in which staff and inmates coexist can blur the lines between professional and personal relationships. So we have close proximity. The constant close proximity of staff and inmates can lead to familiarity that, if not carefully managed, can become inappropriate. Regular interactions can foster a sense of camaraderie that may lead to boundary crossing. For example, when you see the same inmates day in and day out, it's natural to start seeing them as individuals rather than just inmates, which can erode professional distance. Additionally, interactions can also be forced due to the nature of the environment, requiring staff to engage with inmates even when they would prefer not to. In a correctional setting, staff and inmates often share the same physical space for extended periods. This ongoing interaction can create a false sense of familiarity and trust. Over time, you might begin to view inmates as less of a security risk and more as people with whom you share daily experiences. This shift in perception can lead to relaxed vigilance and the erosion of professional boundaries. The frequent casual conversations that occur in this setting can make it easy to forget the underlying power dynamic and security protocols that must be maintained. And that's why I always say the importance of labels. I think it's very important that we keep labels in play because it reminds us of where we're at. And this is a perfect reason as to why we need those labels. We also have stressful work conditions. The high stress nature of correctional work can create a reliance on camaraderie and mutual support. In such environments, staff may seek comfort and understanding from those around them, including inmates. Imagine dealing with a high-stress situation such as a violent incident. In the aftermath, turning to an inmate who was involved for their perspective can start a pattern of inappropriate and emotional reliance. Correctional facilities are often high-pressure environments where staff must deal with potentially violent situations, including conflicts, violence, and emotional outbursts. In these stressful conditions, it is natural for staff to seek support from those around them, including inmates who might appear sympathetic or understanding. This reliance on inmates for emotional support can create an inappropriate bond. For instance, after a particularly stressful incident, you might find yourself confiding in an inmate who was present, seeking their perspective or validation. This interaction can quickly become a routine, blurring the lines between professional duty and personal connection. Now, we also have shift patterns. Long hours and irregular shift patterns can lead to fatigue and burnout, reducing staff members' ability to maintain strict professional boundaries. Tired or overworked staff may be more likely to let their guard down and engage in inappropriate interactions. For instance, after a long, exhausting shift, you might be more inclined to relax your professional stance, making you vulnerable to undue familiarity. Correctional staff often work long, irregular hours, which can lead to significant physical and mental fatigue. This exhaustion can impair judgment and weaken resolve, making it harder to maintain professional boundaries. After a particularly grueling shift, you might find yourself more susceptible to engaging in casual conversations with inmates, sharing more than you normally would, or overlooking minor infractions to avoid confrontation. Again, you just don't have the energy. These interactions, while seemingly harmless at first, can pave the way for undue familiarity and compromise the security of the facility. So let's give an example. Officer Nguyen working long shifts and often feels exhausted. The demanding nature of the job leads him to seek out conversations with inmates for distraction and support. Over time, these interactions become more frequent and personal, crossing professional boundaries. Here's 2 questions to ponder. How does the correctional environment impact your ability to maintain professional boundaries? And what strategies can you implement to manage stress and maintain a clear distinction between professional and personal interactions with inmates? Now, again, guys, this is writing that I did to help you get a better understanding of the process, but also if you want to teach it, this book pretty much gives you the blueprint. All right. One more I have is institutional policies. Institutional policies and practices can inadvertently encourage undue familiarity. Understanding how these policies impact staff-inmate relationship is crucial for creating a safe and professional environment. Inadequate supervision. A lack of adequate supervision and oversight can create opportunities for inappropriate relationships to develop. When staff members are not closely monitored, they may feel emboldened to engage in behaviors that cross professional boundaries. For instance, if you know that supervisors rarely check on interactions between staff and inmates, you might feel less constrained by professional protocols. When supervision is lacking, staff might feel that their actions are not being scrutinized, leading to a false sense of security. This can result in increased risk-taking behavior, such as engaging in overly familiar conversations or sharing personal information. The absence of regular check-ins or audits can create an environment where inappropriate interactions are not only possible, but can also go unnoticed for extended periods. Over time, this lack of oversight can normalize boundary crossing behavior, making them more prevalent and accepted among staff. We also have inconsistent enforcement. So inconsistent enforcement of rules and policies can send mixed messages to staff and inmates about what is acceptable behavior. This inconsistency can create an environment where boundary crossing becomes normalized. If you observe that some colleagues get away with bending the rules, you might feel that such behavior is permissible, leading to a gradual erosion of boundaries. Inconsistent policy enforcement undermines the authority of institutional rules and creates confusion about what is acceptable. When staff members see that certain behaviors are overlooked or unpunished, it can lead to a perception that the rules are flexible and can be bent. This can foster a culture where boundary violations become routine, as staff members might believe that minor infractions will not lead to significant consequences. Such a culture can erode professional standards and increase the risk of inappropriate relationship developing. And then again, we have training gaps. Insufficient training on the importance of maintaining professional boundaries and the consequences of crossing them can leave staff members unprepared to handle complex inmate interactions. Without a thorough understanding of the risk, you might not recognize the signs of undue familiarity until it's too late. Effective training programs are essential for equipping staff with the knowledge and skills needed to navigate interactions with inmates appropriately. Without comprehensive training, staff members may be unaware of the subtle signs of manipulation or the gradual erosion of boundaries. Training gaps can leave staff ill-prepared to enforce professional standards consistently, making them vulnerable to undue familiarity. Regular training updates and refreshers are necessary to reinforce the importance of maintaining boundaries and to keep staff informed about new strategies and policies. And that was worth saying twice, because I talked about training before as personal vulnerability, but I'm also putting it on the agency as well. Recognizing and addressing these institutional factors is crucial for maintaining a professional and safe environment within a correctional facility. By improving supervision, ensuring consistent enforcement of policies, and providing comprehensive training, institutions can help prevent undue familiarity and uphold the integrity of the correctional system. So let's do an example. The facility where Officer Patel works has a history of inconsistent rule enforcement and inadequate supervision. This environment allows Patel to engage in frequent personal conversations with an inmate without consequence, leading to a gradual erosion of professional boundaries. Now, here's 2 questions to ponder. Are there gaps in supervisors or policy enforcement in your facility that might encourage undue familiarity? And how can you advocate for better training and clearer policies to support professional boundaries? Now, I do want to talk about addressing these. I don't want to just leave you with the concerns with not an effort to address it. So towards the end of chapter 4, we have addressing the cause and triggers. So recognizing the causes and triggers of undue familiarity is the first step in addressing them. Correctional facilities must take proactive measures to mitigate these risks and support staff in maintaining professional boundaries. So first I got is approved training. That's a priority. Providing comprehensive training on professional boundaries, ethics, and the consequence of undue familiarity is essential. Training should include real-life scenarios and role-playing exercises to help staff recognize and handle boundary-crossing situations effectively. For example, training sessions could simulate interactions where inmates try to manipulate staff, teaching you how to respond appropriately. Effective training programs should be dynamic and interactive, allowing staff to engage with the material in a meaningful way, like this book. Real-life scenarios can demonstrate the subtle ways inmates may attempt to breach boundaries, giving staff the opportunity to practice their response in a safe environment. Role-playing exercises can also highlight the importance of maintaining a professional demeanor and reinforce the ethical standards required in a correctional setting. By regularly updating training materials to reflect current challenges and emerging trends, facilities can ensure that staff remain vigilant and well prepared to handle any situation that may arise. Enhanced supervision. So we need to implement robust supervision and oversight mechanisms can help deter inappropriate relationships. Regular check-ins, audits, and monitoring of staff-inmate interactions can ensure that boundaries are maintained. Supervisors should make unannounced visits to different areas of the facility to observe staff-inmate interactions and provide immediate feedback. Regular supervision and oversight are critical for maintaining professional boundaries. Supervisors should actively engage with staff, providing guidance and support to ensure that interactions with inmates remain appropriate. Unannounced visits and spot checks can help to deter boundary crossing behavior by keeping staff aware that their actions are being monitored. Additionally, supervisors should be trained to recognize the early signs of undue familiarity and intervene promptly to prevent escalation. Because we don't want to react. This is the prevention side. Because when you react, that's when evidence is there. The person could have done something that causes a threat to the security of the facility. So preventing, stopping undue, recognizing it matters definitely more than reacting. Reacting to me it could be too late. So again, additionally, supervisors should be trained to recognize the early signs of undue familiarity and intervene promptly to prevent escalation. By fostering an environment of accountability and transparency, facilities can reinforce the importance of professional conduct and deter inappropriate relationships. And we also have support systems. Establishing support systems for staff such as counseling services, peer support groups, and stress management programs can help address personal vulnerabilities and reduce the risk of undue familiarity. For instance, having access to a confidential counselor can provide you with an outlet to discuss personal issues without turning to inmates for support. Support systems are vital for helping staff manage the stress and emotional challenges of working in a correctional environment. Counseling services can offer a safe space for staff to discuss personal and professional issues, reducing the likelihood that they will seek support from inmates. Peer support groups can provide a sense of camaraderie and mutual understanding, helping staff to navigate the complexities of their role. Stress management programs can teach techniques for coping with the demands of the job, promoting resilience and reducing the risk of burnout. By investing in the well-being of staff, facilities create a more supportive and stable work environment. Clear policies. Developing and enforcing clear policies regarding staff-inmate interactions is crucial. These policies should outline acceptable behavior, provide guidelines for maintaining boundaries, and specify the consequences for violations. Policies should be regularly reviewed and updated to address new challenges and ensure that they remain relevant. Clear and comprehensive policies are the foundation of a professional and safe correctional environment. These policies should clearly define the boundaries of acceptable behavior and provide specific examples of what constitutes undue familiarity. Consequences for policy violations should be well defined and consistently enforced to ensure that all staff understand the seriousness of boundary breaches. Regular policy reviews and updates are necessary to address evolving challenges and incorporate best practices. Facilities should also ensure that all staff are familiar with these policies through ongoing training and communication. There we go, training again. And then we also have creating a professional culture. Fostering a culture of professionalism and respect within the facility can reinforce the importance of maintaining boundaries. Encouraging open communication, accountability, and mutual support among staff can help create an environment where professional standards are upheld. Regular team meetings to discuss boundary issues and share strategies can promote a collective commitment to maintaining professionalism. And building a professional culture requires a collective effort from all levels of the organization. Open communication about the challenges of maintaining boundaries can help to destigmatize these issues and encourage staff to seek support when needed. Accountability measures such as regular performance reviews and feedback sessions can reinforce the importance of professional conduct. Mutual support among staff, facilitated through team building activities and regular meetings, can strengthen the sense of community and shared responsibility. By promoting a culture of respect and professionalism, facilities can create an environment where staff are empowered to maintain high ethical standards. So in conclusion, and guys, I just pretty much read all chapter 4. There's just so much information here. Addressing the causes and triggers of undue familiarity requires a multifaceted approach that includes improved training, enhanced supervision, support systems, clear policies, and the creation of a professional culture. By taking these proactive measures, correctional facilities can support staff in maintaining professional boundaries and ensure a safe, secure, professional environment. Recognizing these triggers and implementing strategies to mitigate them allow for a more prepared and resilient workforce capable of upholding the integrity and safety of the correctional environment. So there's a lot of information there. I hope you guys got it, but guys, you got to get this book. It's available on Amazon right now. It's an ebook. This is the cover. It's only $9.99 right now. And if you partner this with this book right here, Inmate Manipulation Decoded, along my other readings, but more importantly, this book, you got yourself a great template for some really good training that could evolve your training on inmate manipulation, from undue familiarity all the way to corruption. As always, guys, the show is tipped up. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. Bell's going to notify every time I post a video. Stay safe.